Hey guys, how's it going? Hello YouTubers. Just got done with this amazing new show. It's called The Boys. Really excited to talk to you about the show, and I'm here with my boys to talk about the show as well. So here we go.
Cool. So we're going to talk about the boys the entire season. This is a very filled spoiler review. It does have 8 episodes on here, and it's a Amazon original. The creators are Eric Kripke from Supernatural, Timeless, and Revolution, Evan Goldberg, and Seth Rogen. You guys know them from Superbad, Blockers, Neighbors. You know a lot of the movies that
Yep.
Seth Rogen's in. Uh, really talented cast here. A lot of known actors
Yep.
and not so known actors. So Carl Urban, you guys know him from Star Trek, the reboot, Judge Dredd, or the reboot of Dredd, even Thor of Ragnarok.
Yep.
Simon Pegg, he's also from Star Trek. You know him from Shaun of the Dead. And then also Elizabeth Shue, she's from Back to the Future. She hasn't done much
Huh.
lately, but it looks like she's trying to make a comeback. The not so known actors, the guy who plays Huey, his name is Jack Quaid.
Is he related
Homelander,
to Dennis Quaid?
I don't think so. I don't know. I didn't do a
Kind of
look.
looks like him. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Possibly. May have to look that up.
I'll look it up. Alright.
Yeah, Homelander. He is off the hook as far as his acting chops. This guy,
Okay.
Anthony
Amazing.
Starr. Don't know. Haven't seen him before ever in our lives.
Yes, you
Um,
have, man. You know him as Zach Morris from
And
Saved
it-
by the Bell,
That
dude.
is not him, dude. That
I'm
is
just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, you know
Okay,
what? You
Jeff-
gotta admit though, when I first saw him, I thought he was Zach Morris, man. When I was looking at the previews, I was like, dude, finally Mark Paul Gosselaar is doing something cool, And yeah, I realized. But if you look at him, you'll get some Zach Morris
So
flashbacks
update
there.
for you guys. Jack Quaid is his son. Dennis Quaid's son.
Oh, okay.
I could tell why the way he talks, like his chin is sort of like he has
Yeah.
that sort of quiet but creepiness to him in his acting.
Very cool.
Cool.
Very
Love it.
cool. It's in the blood.
Awesome.
I like.
Cool,
What a-
man.
what a-
Yeah,
what a
that's a
good
good fact.
debut.
I didn't know that.
Good debut.
All right, and then the last I wanted to touch on was Annie slash Starlight. Her name is Erin Moriarty. Another no name. We haven't seen her before. At least I haven't seen her before.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in. What did you guys think?
I mean,
Hey man, I gotta say,
Go ahead.
I was looking forward to talking to you guys about this. I'm like, you guys gotta watch The Boys. I finished. I was just like, okay, this is gonna be. I watched the first episode and I just couldn't stop, man. Like I had to finish it, so I binge watched it and finished it in like a couple of days. So that just goes to show you how much I liked it.
yeah. I mean, this. I feel like they finally got the whole superhero team up right in terms of like the DC universe. It's like it's dark with humorous. Like when I used to watch the Justice League, this is in a way what I would imagine. In terms of like the darker themes. And like you pointed out, the cast is amazing. The acting is amazing. So yeah, it's just a great show. I'm grateful that it's coming on right now. We were kind of like at the end of summer. There wasn't a lot of things to watch, and I think it came out at a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, this is coming off of really for me. I mean, after Avengers Endgame, right? Like, Avengers Endgame was just like, one, it's an end of an era. Superhero hype is just up there right now.
Yeah.
And then I feel like this is kind of, I mean, they show it on the advertising, right? Like, some people saying this is like, like an answer to superhero fatigue, right? Some people say that there's just too many superheroes thing, and it's not something that's new when it comes to like putting people heroes in real life, right? Like Dark Knight and things like that. It's not something
Yeah.
that hasn't been done before,
Yeah.
but it just feels more real to me than
Feels
those.
fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels fresh, right? Like superheroes in real life, and it kind of answers the question, right? Do you really want superheroes in real
Yeah.
life? I think
Mhm.
that's the question that it
Yeah.
kind of answers. And it makes
Yeah.
you really think about that, right? Because now everyone, my kids, everyone is just like, superhero this, right? We want Superman, we want Batman, we
It's
want,
too cool out there, right? Like all this power, everything. It's like it gives like the whole like, oh, I want to be like this person, I want to be like that person, or that superhero. But then if this is a real take, then you're actually kind of second guessing. Like, do I really
Yeah.
want that power? Or do I really? How would I act if I had that much power, or this superpower, or this characteristic?
Yeah.
No,
No.
even
Mhm.
like because they have the equivalent of like Homelander's like Superman, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
What's the
Exactly.
girl's name? It's like Wonder Woman.
Queen
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 Maeve is like, yeah.
Maeve. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then the Deep is like Aquaman, right? It's
Yeah.
funny to me how Aquaman has always been a joke, right? Like
Yeah.
Jason Momoa made it cool, right? But
Yeah.
before this,
Yeah.
Aquaman was a joke. He talks to fishes and things like that,
Yep.
and they kind of play off of that, right? So the references to DC is like not lost on me, right? It's like yeah, they keep on making fun of him. He's like practically useless. They can't even in the show. They don't know what to do with him, right? Like it's like he's
Yeah, exactly. He's like yeah, he's kind of like left out, and in a lot of the sort of the main adventures as well. He's kind of off in the side. Sort of, I mean, yeah, like you can tell like the show's creators, especially Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, they had a kick of like they had a good time, writing these characters, sort of like bringing them to life, because it is in a way like a commentary on sort of the DC universe, right?
It's a
Yeah,
total
it's
it's
like
a
a
total rip.
satirical look at it,
Yep.
where it's like, hey,
Total rip on DC, just like the ridiculousness of how DC is right now.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and Homelander, right? He's supposed to be like a representation of Superman, right? I will say before the show, I was thinking like, yeah, I would love to, meet Superman in real life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then in the show, it kind of makes you like think about it, right? Because how
Yeah.
powerful is this guy?
Man,
And remember when there's a scene where Homelander was just next to Billy Butcher, and he was just kind of looking around. Oh, not Billy Butcher, but the Frenchie, right?
Uh-huh.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he was just kind of like, "Yo, what are you guys doing here?" And he was like so nervous, and I was just nervous for him because I'm just like thinking, like,
Yeah, you're like, this guy
these
can just,
guys
yeah,
could crush you right
Uh-huh.
now,
like an
and
ant, yeah.
without even thinking about it. I mean, just imagine. And the reality is, if I was really next to someone like this, I should be nervous because they have moods. Maybe it's not a good day for him. He could accidentally sneeze and kill me, or like, it's just he's just so dangerous, right? And you don't think about that when you think about Superman because we're all in that whole superhero hype, like,
You're in awe, and you think that he's a god, and like he's only using his powers for good, and he's standing for justice and the American way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's very refreshing to see that this is definitely a real take, a darker take on the superhero genre.
Well, speaking of Homelander, Zack Snyder, the one who made Batman, Superman, Man of Steel. I feel like you should take notes of like
Totally.
what's the best way of creating Superman. Like an all powerful sentient being, right? And then sort of unlimited power, no weaknesses, and how does this person interact with normal humans, right? In that way, like you said, like maybe he's having a bad day, he's mad about something, he did something, and then like it's, but putting that sort of character in among normal people, like in a way, this show gets it right. Like how many times he has to sort of take a deep breath and like control himself, because in like at first I was like, damn, this guy might go crazy any second in the show, right?
Mhm.
He's always like, I'm calm, I'm chill, like in a way, like I'm
Mhm.
like,
yeah, he has that creepy ass smile
yes,
that just kind of,
yes, you're
it's
like,
just like, yeah, and then he's
any
just like,
second,
oh,
yeah,
yeah, any second, right? Yeah, you're right because referencing Batman versus Superman, even how they tried to portray Superman, right? They try to make him the bad guy there, but it didn't really work,
nope,
right?
Mm-mm.
But here they did a great job of making you fear Homelander, right? Because I mean, why do you think that is? Why did you fear him more here in the boys than you did Superman in like Batman versus Superman or something like that? Is it the way because he did bad things? Is it the way he
Hmm.
his facial expressions, like just how do you guys feel like? How do you think they were able to accomplish that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this guy, Anthony Starr, he did an amazing job, like portraying Homelander. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just like his sort of expressions, like in a way, he's kind of like a sociopath, like presenting a certain side to, like everyone else, to the media, and then like a different side to himself. And like
Bipolar.
yeah,
so to
it's
speak,
it's very like that. It's very sort of subtle how he switches back and forth between the two, and it kind of menacing, like you said, right? And then, and in a way, they actually showed a lot of the things. Like he has the opportunity to sort of make the right decisions in a lot of places, and he chooses not to. Where it would have been inconvenience for him, right? And he's kind of like, oh, whatever, like, but he totally could have gone on his way and helped those people or in those situations.
Were you talking about the
Yeah.
airplane
The
scene?
airplane
airplane scene.
Totally.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was such a good scene, right? It was just like, that again is another play on, like, the Superman saving of an airplane is like very iconic, right? For like
Exactly.
a lot of movies already, right? Like him
Mhm.
doing this, and then this time he was just kind of like, "You want me? Do you see a ground for me to lift this up to?"
It's like I want to go right through it.
yeah. He's like, "Do you want to? Well, maybe you could fly
One
them
by
down." It's
one,
like,
two. Yeah, you get.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
take-
that was yeah.
it's like it's far, right?
Whatever, 100 people, one by one. Yeah, right.
And then
that's ridiculous.
yeah, and then it got me because she was like, "At least save the kids, right? These two kids, right? Like at least." And he's like, "You want to leave witnesses?" It's like, oh, wow.
Exactly.
Wow. And you know what? I was kind of looking at it from his perspective too, right? I mean, to us, this is a fresh take. We're looking at it, and for him, he's probably done this. I mean, he is the technical expert when it comes to this stuff, right? Like he is he knows what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
He's been a superhero all his life,
Yeah.
so he knows what he can or cannot do. I mean, for us, it seems like pretty cold-hearted, the type of decisions that he made.
Yeah.
But again, he has the experience to make those kinds of decisions. He knew he couldn't
Yeah.
lift a plane. He knew he couldn't fly down everybody. I mean, it's kind of cold, but reality, right? Like he was an expert in that realm. I mean, what do we know, right? I mean, he's been a superhero, or he's had these powers all his life, so he knows what his limitations are, what's possible.
Yeah, right in the beginning, we already see that, they've already been established as far as them being superheroes and they have their powers and whatnot. We haven't seen them from, like, the beginnings of them just realizing their powers. So, that they probably have like all these, experiences and missions and stuff that they've honed their powers, and they know what their
Exactly.
weaknesses are, what they can and cannot do. So
And exactly. Yeah.
they're at the point that we start watching, they're just like, you know what, yeah, I'm done. That there's nothing else for us to do. We got to get out of here. So
Yeah.
So
No,
what's
yeah. No, I was gonna sort of add to that. I was gonna say I love that it's not an origin show, like you said. Like
Yeah.
they already have their powers. They already sort of a lot of them are their powers are matured. They know their abilities, and sort of that makes for a better show because we've seen so many origin
too
movies
many,
or
too many.
like
Batman Begins, freaking.
there's so many, right?
Flash,
you can list like every character has one, right? So
Right,
I love that
right.
they're like, okay, let's just get down to it. They're in this situation, and then they like the point of the show is not to showcase their power, but like how their power would react in today's society, right? Like I think that makes for a more interesting show than opposed to if they did it more for like an origin side of it.
No, yeah, totally agree. And I think the timing for the release of this is just perfect, right?
Perfect.
I mean, we're ready for a show like this. So I actually read up about it. So I'm not familiar with the source material at all, but it looks like The Boys was actually released by Garth Ennis in like 2006,
Mm.
and it didn't really get that good of a reception at that time, as the comics
Really?
actually got canceled after its initial run. I mean, and that was only in 2006, right? Flash forward like 13 years later. I mean, this is the best time to come out with it, right? Because Marvel kind of helped pave the way to, just get us very familiar with like superheroes, right? DC, is pretty much failed many times on how to introduce characters and stuff like that. It's just garbage, right? I mean, yeah, and it came out at the right time, man. it's good timing for it. It kind of came out at a better time, especially after Endgame. It's just we are ready for a show like this now. You know.
Right, right. In 2006, I don't even remember. Did we even have any superhero movies? Was
I think
Iron Man out at that time?
No, Superman 1 came out during that time with Brandon Root.
Okay,
With
Superman
Returns.
Superman Returns,
Yeah,
with Kevin Spacey and stuff.
Right,
And I
right.
think 2008 was when Iron Man came out.
Right,
I
right.
think it was around that time. Like
So there wasn't saturated with all these superhero movies and superhero, hype and
I think we weren't ready for it. We
yeah,
weren't ready
totally
for
weren't ready
dark.
Exactly. So the more time that that passes, and the more movies, as far as superheroes, it's exactly what you guys said. Perfect timing, because we're fatigued with like the good superheroes. Now we need like a fresh take, or a different take on this genre.
Yep. Totally agree.
All right.
So you guys want to talk a little bit about what and then this industry, or this sort of. I mean, what are there? Like a commercial? Like, I mean, what?
Yeah,
what do you
right.
guys- Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So one thing I'm unclear about, right, is like, okay, so the seven, right? The
Yeah.
seven and VOT, whatever they're
Yeah.
called. So to be in the seven, I mean, what does being in the seven mean, right? Like, are they corporate sponsored at that point? They're the only seven that's corporate sponsored, that they're the approved superheroes? Because it seems like there's the seven, the main ones, and then there's also little heroes that can be hired by VOT. But I wasn't sure what made the seven so special. Is it like, they're the main ones, corporate sponsorship? I mean, I guess they're the Justice League, right? But in this
Yeah.
in this environment, like what separates them from the smaller heroes, or do you guys know, or you guys have any idea?
I have no idea, and I wish they would actually like explain it, as far as like, so we see Starlight, right? All she does is just like audition, right?
Yeah.
And I guess for other smaller, or B league superheroes, is that what you need to do? You need to audition, and then if you have a certain look and a certain personality, and then you're okay, so we could use this as marketing, or we could use you as this type of person in our marketing scheme, or whatever.
Like spin up a story or something, like in a way to get the public, be behind the superhero. And there's a lot of sort of things about rating and points and whatnot,
Right.
like in that sort of way, like somebody who has obviously the power, but then also sort of the character, like the personality to be able to showcase that. And then there was another character, I think Mesmer, right? And he used to either be in the seven, or like he was part of the seven, or like, and then he was part of what? Like so maybe he
definitely
used to work for them. I don't know what capacity, and then he did something. He got like kicked out, and even like there's other like sort of lower end top class.
Shockwave, the guy
Shockwave.
who A-Train was running against.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, what happened to him?
What happened to him? And then
how
top
come he's not-
clutch, he was kind of like a lower scale. Like there's all these different levels to it, and like who's like on the top of the mountain, and sort of like going down from there.
Yeah, I wonder if you're part of the seven, you get a bigger paycheck and corporate sponsorship, right? Like you
Yeah.
actually get a paycheck. Yeah.
You get to live in the VOT tower, and whatever floor they're in currently.
Yeah.
You gotta apply for it. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's cool
credit
concept.
score kind of thing. Like you do X number of appearances, and you garner likability from the public, and then I guess your paycheck reflects that, or your status within VOT reflects that.
Yeah, I really like that take on it, right? Because if you think about it, what has been the answer for, all these superhero movies for, like superhero expenses, right? Batman, he's a billionaire. Iron Man, he's a billionaire, right?
Right.
They just have money already, right?
They already have money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they already have money.
Yeah.
They're just thing. So I mean, yeah, it makes sense, right? I mean, just because you have superpowers doesn't mean that you have the money to be able to support, have your costume, all that stuff. So corporate sponsorship in real life makes sense for a superhero, right? And and again, it's not one of those things that you think about because they kind of brush on it. They kind of set it to the side for a lot of the shows that we watch, right? Like even Spider-Man right now, right? I mean, he has sponsorship from Iron Man, right? Because Iron Man is the billionaire, and same thing with the Justice League. They're being financed by Batman, right? Because he's already just rich. So
Exactly.
in real life, they do need a job. They do need to get paid. So that's why they probably pay attention to, like what you said, their points rating, and they need corporate sponsorship because like there's they can get sued. There's liabilities. There's damage, collateral damage, as we see from the first episode, right? Legal fees. I mean, there's a lot of things that they usually have to deal with, and some other shows kind of brush on it, but this one you kind of get an idea the behind the scenes of like superhero in real life, right? Like all these liabilities and all these things that they really have to worry about.
Yeah, in a way, it's sort of like I think Civil War, Avengers, sorry, Captain America: Civil War kind of touched upon it. Like they try to do the accord and
Yeah.
sort of the like hey all this, like what is the negative side of all these superheroes battling it out? Like a building falls and like there's tons of people like who die because of
Collateral
that, right?
damage.
Collateral damage, right?
Yep.
And like even in there, when the mom of one of the guys, she comes up to him like in the elevator to Iron Man. He's like, hey, you guys did this battle, and then like my son who was out there and he was like his first job, and like all this collateral damage because of it. So like you always they never really sort of go deep into it, but like here they kind of like
It's
give
in
you
your
a more-
face in here.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah. So the difference with that, right, is that one you're still on the superhero side, right? You're just like thinking like, oh, whatever, right? Yeah, she's being difficult or whatever. But here, that's why the boys is there, right?
Exactly.
Because you're getting a more personalized view. It is. I mean, we're looking at it from the boys' perspective, right? The damages,
Exactly.
from a more personal perspective, right? I mean, she, for example, that example that you had with the lady that came up to Iron Man, we, you don't really care about her because she just comes in. But
Yeah.
this one, we're looking at it from this guy's perspective, right? How
Exactly.
he was affected by it, like
Affected
he
by
was
it, yeah.
holding on to his girlfriend's hand.
Yeah, and then next second he's just like, yeah.
That's such a great scene.
Man, I love it. I love the CGI in it.
When I
Not
saw that-
expecting it whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Adrian just runs through her and like, well done, well done.
Yeah, because I was like, what the hell is going
Yeah,
on?
and then he just has her hands, he's just
And then
holding
his
onto her
scream,
hands.
right? His scream. He's just like,
Yeah, because he's like even then he's like, what?
yeah.
Like,
So that was
Okay,
good
yeah.
because they made it very personal to us already as a viewer, right? Like you're looking at it from his perspective and like how he's coping with it and how he's looking at it at the superheroes, from his perspective, and we're kind of getting his take on it, right? So that was really good. I really like that, and we established that right away. And yeah, it's just different perspective, and it's a different point of view, and I like it.
I mean, I also love the parallel to reality in a way. I mean, we're in a time where there's like we are like crazy after celebrities and athletes and stuff like that, and like sort of it's in a way it's like all these fans and like sort of worship celebrities and and then they're going on talk shows, sort of similar to like how in the celebrities go on talk shows. They go on Jimmy Fallon. They show that as well.
Mhm.
So like it's like there's sort of in a way it's like a blind sort of faith into like these people, right? Like we don't know anything about them. We don't know how these celebrities live in real life or like all these athletes that we follow. But like for us, we're like, man, these guys are amazing. They're the best, and we're like we talk about them like those sort of thing. But we don't really know how they lead their personal life. It's just a persona that they show us,
Right.
on these talk shows or like like
Yeah.
on the field or whatnot. But we don't really know. So I feel like it takes sort of that. It takes like it gives you an idea of like the behind the scene of that as well, right? Like how sort of like because everyone thinks Homelander is the best, right? Like even in the show, even like Billy, like Butcher, right?
hmm
Even he's like, oh, there's nothing on this guy. He's like, he's clean. But then as the show goes on, you're like, okay, maybe this guy is not as clean as we thought he was, and he's probably the worst one of them all.
No, agreed. I mean, yeah, I mean that's why, like, I like how they're playing off of social media too, right? They're it's replicating what's happening in real life. People are they're everyone's videotaping. Everyone has a phone now. Everyone's videotaping. People are, see it from their perspective,
Yeah.
and yeah, you get more gritty, and you feel like you're behind the scenes about what's going on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Behind the scenes perspective for everything. So that's good.
So what are some of the things that you guys liked about the show? Like one or two things that comes to mind. Yeah,
Silence.
silence. You didn't like anything.
I think we already talked about all of it as far as what we like, but I mean, it's just again a refreshing, darker take on the superhero genre.
Okay.
You know,
What is then something you didn't like? If you already talked about.
that's the thing. I was I was actually thinking about if I didn't like anything, and I think the only thing I wasn't like really feeling, which in retrospect I get it, is the whole the deep story arc wherein like you see him in the beginning, he's a total douche, right? Because what he does to Starlight, right?
Yeah.
And then like as time goes on, they're just kind of like wondering like he's set up to do all of these meet and greets and stuff like that, and then he wants to do something different, which is not what Vaughn wants. They're it's not within their agenda.
Yeah.
So then what do? They ship him out. They're like,
Because
okay,
he's useless, just like Aquaman.
Yeah.
right. So I mean, like as time goes on, it's just like okay. But I will say the whole dolphin scene, that was freaking hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
That
Funniest. Yeah, one of the funniest scenes I've seen this year. Like it's just, oh my god, amazing.
that was good. I mean, I get why he's in it, and it's just like okay, he's progressively just okay. Wow, what do we do with this guy? Because he's like, he's part of the Seven.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to replace him. Maybe that's where they're going as far as like making him go out to I don't know where he got shipped out to Kissimmee, Florida. I don't know where he went, but
Somewhere in Ohio or some
Somewhere.
random place.
yeah.
Middle of nowhere.
And he ends up doing the same thing, being a douche out there. He hooks up with this chick and brings him back to the hotel or wherever he's staying, and just like at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much done with whatever story arc for the Deep. So give me more Homelander, give me more Starlight and Huey's interaction. Even Frenchie and we don't even have a name for the Asian chick yet. She's just in the comic books. I know that she's named the female, but
Yeah.
then
Didn't she say like Kimiko or something?
oh,
like
that's
that?
right, that's
Yeah.
right, Kimiko. Yeah,
Kimiko,
because of what's his name, the
Mesmer.
the
Mesmer.
Mesmer.
'Cause she's calling her brother calls her name.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's
And
right.
he
Yeah.
looks-
Good call. Good call on
That
that.
was some good powers for the Mesmer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he
Isn't he familiar? Isn't he from some movie or
He looks familiar. I think he might be one of the Evan Goldberg, Seth Rogen people from one of their comedies.
No, he's in Silicon Valley.
He's in Silicon Valley.
I mean, he's gotten really fat. He's the Sixth Sense guy, right?
that's it.
The
That's
kid?
it,
The little kid?
Yes. Yes.
What?
That is him. Yes.
Oh, dude. Okay.
That
I
is.
was thinking why he looks so familiar.
Yeah, he's the Sixth Sense kid. Yeah.
Wow. Damn, he got
Okay,
old.
He's got fat.
Good
He got
call.
old.
fat,
Bruce
man.
Willis still looks better than him.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, Sixth Sense guy.
Wow.
But yeah, so one of the things I didn't like was, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't want to say I don't like it, right? Because it was a necessary evil, right? I didn't like how naive, Starlight was, right? I mean, how did she fall for the Deep? For he was that scene was funny to me though, right? He was like, yeah, she's like turned around and like, yeah, I used to have a crush on you, and like he's like, zip,
He's already naked. He's already naked. Oh my god.
ass out and everything already, right? It's like,
Yeah.
they didn't waste no
Like,
time.
well, I mean,
Thanks for bringing that back up because
speaking of
first
Me
time-
Too.
first time I actually was watching, the series or that episode, the first episode, I looked up on the train because I was watching it on the train, and I looked up and I did not see that part where he just was all, balls out, and then rewatching it made more sense as that whole scene. Like, oh my god, now, I I missed that, and now it totally made like my impression of the Deep, like why is she acting like that? And then again rewatching it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So point of the whole story is when you're watching a TV show, pay attention. Make sure you're freaking like your attention is
Well,
on the
especially
screen.
like this. Yeah, yeah. So especially with something like this show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, why did she fall for it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it just he didn't seem to have. I mean, it wasn't a requirement for her to be part of the seven. She was already part of the seven, right? And he kind of put pressure on her, saying that you have to do this or whatever.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any power at that time, like over her at least.
Yeah.
She was already part of the seven. It's not like it was like the audition to the seven. So I didn't like how she was that vulnerable. I mean, again,
I feel they were trying to do in a way a nod to like the Me Too movement, like men in position of power, sort of like misusing
but that's
that
my
or
point.
lying
He
to
wasn't in a position of power.
She
He had
thought
Yeah, I
she
guess
thought
she
he
did think,
was
yeah.
because he said I'm the number two, right? And later on she said, hey, I looked it up. You're not number two.
Yeah.
You're nobody.
Oh,
And
okay.
like,
Okay.
and then she said, I can't believe I fell
Here
for
you
that.
go.
So in a way, like
Yeah.
in a way, I mean, they're saying that she was naive. She's just like bright eyed, like just came out of from, and then she's part of the seven. She had posters of these people, right? These were her heroes. So in a way, like they're like, hey, they're trying to show like how people misuse that, that position of power and stuff like that, and people that are your heroes might not be who you think they were. So I think
Yeah,
that's
that's the whole point, right? Yeah.
that was the whole point. That was the whole point. Like in a way, that was the beginning of like they're trying to show you like, hey, all these characters have some sort of, they're all fucked up in some way, right? None of them are like perfect. So
Yeah, but Queen, the Queen Mauve, Maeve, Queen
yeah.
Maeve, right? Like,
Yep.
help her out, right? Like you think
Yeah.
she's already been there. She's an OG,
Yeah.
right? She's been there for a while. Like, it seems like she's always holding back, right? Even in the plane scene with Homelander, she was kind of holding back. Like, you could tell that she feels some kind of way about this whole situation.
Oh,
Period,
of course,
right?
yeah.
She's been in it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You would think she'll give a little bit more guidance to like Starlight and things like that.
Yeah.
Right? Every opportunity that she has to help, she really doesn't. So,
Yeah. Not until like all the way in the end, when she gives him the advice to like, hey, like don't make a decision, like every bad decision you make is gonna take a piece of you, and that's how I got to where I am, and don't go down that path, because like I think Starlight was like drinking and she was trying to flirt with one of the pilot or something, some of that, and she knew what she was doing is not her,
Yeah.
but she was just hurt, like Huey like sort of lied to her, betrayed her trust, and this was the only guy she sort of trusted. And so like I think in that moment, like that was her first time sort of not being selfish in the show and sort of speaking out and like helping somebody without gaining anything. Another thing that I was sort of I want to say I don't like, but like I wish they did more of, like, was kind of a backstory of like how these superheroes came to be, not like an origin story, but like how did they come under this control of what, and like what happened before it, and how did they all agree to like sort of be commercialized in this way. And then what about everyone who's not under control? Why are they not doing anything bad? Like, are they so scared of the seven? Because why are there no super villains, right? Like they're only fighting normal people or like normal things.
That's true. Yeah.
Until Homelander actually creates one, right? But like, why is nobody else being bad?
How do they keep everyone in line, right? Like,
but then there's normal people doing
yeah.
bank robberies, so why the super people are not doing it or anything bad? Like, are they all that good? And like, how do they make money? So I think that part of, okay, why is there no? Because in the beginning they show there's like at least a few hundred, right? They show like they don't do the exact number, but they show like there's at least
it was
a
like
few
200 across the whole country.
Exactly. So like, what are they doing? There's only show the seven. Why are they not doing anything bad? So I was like, that's one thing I had a question.
And they made it seem like everyone was only in the U.S., right? Only in the U.S. they had all these superheroes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Favorite character?
Let's talk about Elizabeth Shue's character, Madeline.
Okay.
I mean,
man. Yeah.
dude, she played that really well, man. Like, I thought she did a great job in this. She was like she has that whole motherly figure, and then she has some kind of
We're gonna
relationship
talk
with.
about it, huh? We're gonna talk about the whole,
too
you know,
too literal, man. Too literal.
what a
Oh my
mother, what a
god.
mother she is.
What a mother.
What a mother. Yeah.
Oh
I
man.
mean,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it goes back to where like people who are like always in control and like powerful, like they're very sort of like submissive in other ways, you know, like so like that like Homelander is like this powerful being, but then in a way like he's sort of submissive or like this sort of thing, and he has mommy issues and daddy issues. You could
Clearly.
clearly tell, right? So like, yeah, I mean, she does
He
an
has
amazing
mommy
job.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely has mommy issues.
she's clearly scared of this guy, like this powerful being, but like she kind of has some semblance of control over him in a way, like, and she's sort of hanging on to that control that she has over him. So yeah, she did really good. She did awesome.
Yeah, she was an awesome character there. All right, we've spent some time talking about the superheroes and VOD, but let's talk about the main characters, the boys.
Boys,
Oh yeah.
The boys
boys.
themselves.
Go. I mean, I know that we were gonna get to the whole like favorite characters, but quite honestly, I like the boys as a group. I mean, like I don't have like a favorite as far as like Billy or Huey or even Mother's Milk. How do you get that name? I want to know how the hell did he get that name? You know,
His
but
mother would know.
they all play on each other very well, and they all have strengths and weaknesses, and them as a collective, like how Butcher broke it down, like, hey, what is Posh Spice doing?
Exactly.
You know, what is
Yeah,
Jerry
that scene was
doing?
awwesome.
You know,
Oh my god.
Back to the
what
Spice
are they
Girls.
doing? Like
Like-
Ginger, what you know, by themselves, they're nothing. They're not doing anything at all. They're not even a blip on the radar. But together, they're the Spice Girls, and I feel exactly the same way with the boys as far as the characters in there. Like I mean, together, they're awesome. But like if I see them, if I were to see them like not together or just like by themselves and whatnot, I wouldn't really feel for them.
Mm.
But every time I see them, most of them or all of them together, I'm like, this is exactly why I like this this group, because they're playing off of each other. They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, and especially the back and forth between Mother's Milk and Frenchie. I love it, dude. They're
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
like at each other's throats, but then they have respect and disrespect at the same time. It's perfect.
Yeah, they established their friendships really well that way, right? Because we all have our friends that we argue like that, right? Like normal people, that's how they really go back and forth on each other, right? I mean, I will say my first impression, without knowing anything about the show, right, with the boys, I really thought, like, when I saw the previews, I really thought Billy Butcher or Carl Urban was superpowered, right? Because he looked like Wolverine, right? He, like, with his hair and everything. And it's funny because when what's his character's name? Dennis Quaid.
Huey.
Huey, yeah.
Yui, when he was just like, you look like a character from a Matrix porn or something like that. I didn't get that. I didn't get that. I thought he was gonna reference Wolverine. I didn't get that reference. Did you guys?
No,
I
I
look at it that
didn't.
way.
I guess he was just
Or-
I don't know. Maybe he watched too much anime or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
and
didn't.
then and Mother's Milk, man. When I first saw him, I mean, you know what? Part of me is hoping that they will have superpowers, because like Mother's Milk, man. When you see him, his physique, man, I thought he was already a freaking superhero, right? Like he's built better than freaking Homelander, right?
Right? Right?
Yeah. He's
And
built up.
A-Train, right?
Oh man, he's A-Train's a stick, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No,
it's cool how they added on the
Yeah.
what they call female, right, or Humiko, because
Uh-huh.
now they have someone that's
Now
that
they have someone, who
Yeah.
has the abilities.
Yeah,
In a way, I'm happy that they don't have superpowers, because like it sort of then makes the task even taller for them, and then and it's good because then they use their brains more as opposed to their bronze, right? Like a lot of the stuff they manage to do, they're just using their intellect, like their street smarts to like get into all these places and get all this intel and whatnot. Like I think he said he used to be a medic in the army, and then Butcher, I mean, I don't know, he's been everywhere. So like, and the Frenchie, like, who is he? Is he like a drug dealer? Is he like
right.
he's like a gun runner?
Chemist.
Like chemist, like
What-
how many skills does
little
he
bit
have?
of every-
Right?
Yeah.
And then Huey, like he knows all this electric stuff, like things like that, like surveillance and whatnot. So like they each sort of complement, and they each have different abilities, and like I like that they sort of get to play all of that, and then in a way, each of them are like, because Huey is a new one, they're all surprised, like, okay, maybe this guy is,
It's good for something.
is good for something,
know?
kind of like you guys do to me. But yeah, in a way, it's good.
They're good for something.
Yeah.
You see? And then Yui and getting things from his perspective, like his descent into, his first kill, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
like seeing the after effects of that. I mean, it seems like, the other boys, right? They're used to killing already, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like they've killed people before. And for him, the kind of path that he's taking and the reaction that he's having from having to have killed somebody, which was pretty cool,
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorite scenes in the show was the fight between Butcher and then Translucent, like in the store. Like it's pretty raw, it's gritty, and it was very well done. I mean, him using his blood to see Translucent.
Yeah, that was good.
Like I was
That
like,
was wow,
man,
yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like I was happy he doesn't have superpowers then, because he was using everything he had to gain
that makes
attention
the
on
show
this
better,
guy.
right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
that was awesome. That was a really good scene.
Yeah, and their decision or Yui having to decide to Frenchie coming up with a solution of how to kill Translucent, right? You know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, do it from the. You know what though? Like when he exploded right there, he was talking about he had like diamond-like skin, right? Don't you think with him exploding like that, it should have killed Yui? Because if he had diamond-like skin, it should have just cut through him
Like
during that explosion.
projectiles, diamond projectiles
Yeah,
all over
yeah.
the place, instead of it being like, I guess I don't know. I mean,
That's what I was expecting, but yeah, he had. But maybe he was destroyed from the inside out, right? I mean,
Definitely the
maybe
soft shell.
it softened maybe he turns on the diamond skin or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, like that was a pretty gruesome scene, man. Like especially knowing where that was placed. I mean, that's a horrible way to die, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
glad
that guy
he was, I'm
translucent.
glad
I
he was
mean,
translucent
what
at that.
a yeah. What a perv.
I mean,
Hey, in reality, though, right? They kind of said it, right?
If you had that power, you would
Invisible
do
Man,
that too.
yeah, you'll be everywhere, right? And how creepy is that he really has to be naked? He's
To
just
be able to, yeah. So in a way, I did not feel bad that he got killed, because he was like, I was like, man, this guy.
he
So
was. I did when he was pleading for his life, right? I mean,
Then yeah,
yeah,
but
he
I don't
seemed
know.
like,
Was he actually being sarcastic, or was he actually pleading? Because like,
I
I don't
think
know.
he
I
was
think.
scared.
You
Yeah.
think he was scared?
I think he was scared.
I think he might have been just like playing the whole like,
because he knew Homelander would be here.
Exactly. He's
soon
just
later.
buying his time. He probably has some kind of like, didn't he have like some kind of homing beacon or something, a tracking device, where
Yeah.
he was just like buying his time, waiting till like the cavalry comes, and he was just trying to just prolong the whole stay for him to be alive until he gets saved. And he's a dick, and I'm glad he's dead.
Another useless 7, right? So how did they pick this 7, right? They're not all that.
Now we're down to 5, right?
We're down 5. Yeah, exactly.
Down to 5. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite characters? Rick.
Man, I mean, I really like Homelander, man. I mean, he's
and
made
Rick
out to be
Flag.
the bad guy, but I think
Yeah.
he does such a good job of like making you feel that his realize humanizing Superman, right? Like he has his mood swings and he's a pretty complex character, right? Like he has his mother issues, right? Like I like how vulnerable he is, but yet how invulnerable he is, right? As a person, right? So that guy does a great job of like just portraying the two, just showing us, getting a more deeper character look at Superman, right? So that's why he's like, I actually secretly root for him all the time, So I really like Homelander.
Yeah. No, it's the same here. I mean, Homelander and then Butcher. I mean, they're kind of like the leaders of their respected group. So like, I feel like they both did a great job. But like, yeah, like you said, like for Anthony Starr to portray this Homelander and then do such a good job at it, like in terms of like his varied emotions and like I can actually I kind of felt this angst in a lot of places. I'm like, man, this guy, like, you can tell he's really trying to calm himself down right now. And then in a way, like, he was like lied to in a lot of places, like, and they try to protect him and he can't really be himself. And you can tell he wants to do more with his power, but he can't. Like, he's being sort of tied down, like, put in a box. So in a way, I could relate to him on that aspect as well. I mean, there's a lot of really good characters. Everyone did a pretty good job, but like, yeah, Homelander, like, yeah, it's up there along with Butcher for me.
I'm gonna say, yeah, same Homelander, and then also a very close second is Butcher. I will say about Butcher, like, I get what his motivation is as far as like trying to bring down at least Homelander or Vought, because of course, his wife was working for Vought, and he doesn't have a lot of information as far as like what happened to my wife.
Exactly.
And so like he wants answers. I would
He's really driven by that, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I would be the same way if my wife, all of a sudden just disappeared and it's been 8 years later. I'm like, I want answers. Like, what the heck has happened? And
Has it been that long? It's been 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And so, I mean, when we see her again at the very end, the son is like, what, 8 years old. So it's about that time wherein, like, she was disappeared, or she was presumed missing.
Okay,
then,
so let's talk about this ending then, since you brought it up, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about how it all ended?
I'm confused. I mean, I want to know from Becca's side, like, what, like, was she placed in some kind of witness protection, and like why did she never try to reach out to her husband, and she seemed like she was having a normal life, like, from like, she's growing Homelander's son, so like, I don't know.
I'm gonna jump in right there.
Go ahead.
I like how you use growing Homelander's son because he's like manufactured.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump right in.
Yes.
She probably feels very, very embarrassed or very sorry about what happened because at the time she was with Billy, right? She was with Butcher, having a great time as far as like I got a new job here at Vought. Blah blah blah. I'm trying to impress, the higher ups and whatnot. I have a loving husband, and then all of a sudden now I'm pregnant by a freaking Homelander, right? How could I tell this to my husband who loves me very much? So maybe
It's guilt.
It's definitely guilt, and maybe they came up with an alibi or some kind of like reason. Which I guess they didn't really say, but I'll just end up missing and just how you said, witness protection, kind of like hide me from Billy, because if he finds me, then that's going to mess up what I have with Homelander. I don't know. I mean, but not to say that they have anything, but I have his love child, so it's like I'm worried for my life because one, Billy's looking for me, and then two, if Homelander finds out about my love child, then what's that dynamic going to change? How is my life going to change in that respect? So when we see her at the very end, she has this very like anxious, very like worried face. It's like all her worries and all her fears are coming together because Homelander and Billy are right there, and now you see this son, like this kid, like this is an awesome ending, I think, because it's a total cliffhanger. You don't get any resolution, any answers. It only poses more questions. And for me, I've always been the whole like, at the very end of a season, it really needs to be a very very compelling cliffhanger, and this is what we got.
Yeah, so to go back a bit, right, to when Homelander was talking to Elizabeth Shue's character, right? I mean, I was surprised that he killed her. Like, what the hell? He melted her face,
right?
Because
I mean,
of the lie, right? The lie is he has a son. He's alive, right? So even before that, though, right? So we were all under the impression, even from the video footage, it seems like she was raped by Homelander, right?
Mhm.
So now we kind of have to rethink what really did happen, right? Because she went into the room with Homelander.
Mhm.
Billy, unless they edited the footage or something like that, right? Because Billy was able to acquire the footage, right, of
Yep.
her wife entering and then leaving, and then seeing, how she seemed very distraught when she was leaving. So, are do you guys think that she slept with Homelander, like she was infatuated by him, or she was just like, it's a superhero, she saw opportunity even though she was married to sleep with Homelander, and she
Further
did?
her career, maybe that kind of thing. I mean, quite
Messed up,
honestly, it
man.
happens all the time in corporate America, corporate anywhere.
I hope not.
Quite honestly.
I hope not. It doesn't. I hope it doesn't
I
happen.
mean, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a decision where, the creators of the show have to make, like, what can be the reason behind it, like her doing this to her husband. I mean, like, now will he, like, keep fighting, like, once, or because this was the reason why he did
It was all a
everything,
lie for
right?
him, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
like, or is
Yep.
he just gonna be like demoralized? Hey, like, now that
He
his
hated
wife has been hiding
Homelander.
from him and raising, like, another man's child, like, what is that gonna do to Billy? Right? Is he gonna,
Yeah.
like?
So it's kind of like, okay, this is very Games of Thrones like, right? If you think
Mm,
about it,
mhm,
about his origin, right? He's, this kid is like Jon Snow, right?
mhm.
So, like, he was birthed from two powers, right? Like, it's kind of like the same exact storyline with, Robert Baratheon and the Targaryen,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's pretty similar, right? So here's a kid that was, born out of wedlock, right? It's like he's practically a bastard, right? So on her perspective, she's protecting him from two things, right? One is from Homelander, because he's obviously, maybe once she found out more about him, she knew how psycho he was, because it seems like Elizabeth Shue, or that character, was protecting her and the kid from
Yeah.
Homelander too, because he's pretty
Yeah.
psycho, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's very messed up because she's like, now, and then she's protecting the kid also from Billy because of who the father is, right? And but then
Mhm.
my whole thing is he only hates Homelander because he thinks that he raped his wife. So now there's a new dynamic now. It's like, dude,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
hate Homelander,
It's a weird
but
family.
right? You hated him. I mean, you hated him all this time. You were trying to bring him down, but it's almost like maybe he's not that bad of a guy, at least when it came to this portion of it, right? It's like, oh man, it just adds a new, more complex dynamic when it comes to that whole relationship, and how his hate for Homelander was probably misinterpreted. It's not valid at this point.
Yeah, I
He
mean, maybe
should
it
hate
was
his wife.
consensual, like, what happened between them, and, like you said,
I'm
maybe,
thinking it was
like,
consensual.
yeah, because even when
I
she,
think it was consensual, man.
no, because, like, when they see the
Because why
video
would she
again, and
avoid?
she's
Yeah.
coming out of the room, right? And then, like, she was just, like, wearing her shoes, but, like, she didn't look like she was crying in that
She
scene.
didn't look raped.
Like,
The
she didn't look,
the makeup wasn't all messed up. Her
yeah,
hair wasn't all
like,
messed
she
up. It
wasn't
looked
like, she didn't look like, hey, like, hey, my life just got ruined, right? Like,
right,
I
right.
mean,
Like
in a way, like, like, that's the way that
it
was
was
shown
more
to
like,
us.
oh shit, what did I do? More like, it wasn't like she was just like, yeah, running out and crying and freaking like screaming like rape.
And then even Billy said, like, this was the, remember when he goes to the bench, he said this was the last place that she was seen, right? And she sat there
What
for
she?
3 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, she was really
But then
thinking during
She
the
was
3 hours,
grinding through like
different,
all
like,
the
options, all
scenarios.
the different options. What am I
Uh-huh.
gonna do, right? Like, what's the result from what just happened? So
Yeah, man, it's gonna be crazy. Like, man, maybe Billy and Homelander will be best friends now. I don't know.
we'll check
They're
a few
gonna raise a
beers.
child together.
Oh man, I
So that
mean,
is the mystery of what needs to be solved next season.
well, I mean, it's kind of like, where are they gonna take the show now? Because this was the biggest motivation of the show, right? Because we had this character who wouldn't stop, like, until he got his revenge, and we had this character who was unkillable. This is, in a way, it was kind of like an immovable object, like, with the equally, like, dominant force. So, like, in that sort of way, but, like, now, interesting. Like, I'm interesting to see what's gonna happen.
So
It seems just like a lot of the wins under Billy's sails are being like taken out of
His
of
whole
him.
world just
Like,
got torn apart.
exactly.
He was a man with purpose, and he's lost that purpose, right?
Totally now, right?
Yeah.
He thought that Homelander's weakness was what's her name, Stillwell, and then obviously that didn't pan out,
Yeah, pan
like
out.
oh shit,
And then he just tries to kill himself because like that's it. There's nothing
Yeah,
more. Like
I'm
there's nothing.
screwed. So you know what?
Yeah.
I'll kill myself, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you wake up like, oh, where am I? So
That was awesome.
it's
Yeah.
And ironically, that's what saves him, right? Like because Homelander finds out, hey, I want to show you this. I'm gonna keep you alive, so you know what's going on here.
so was that the thing that Stillwell whispered to Homelander before he did the whole Ray thing? Is that what?
I thought it was Homelander who whispered in her ears. Wasn't he like, hey, I know that I have a son or something? Maybe
He found his son. Yeah.
I,
Probably
I think no, but he already
it's
knew.
the other way.
No, I think it was Homelander who told like, hey, you lied to me again, and then he whispers to her like, hey, I know now.
Like, how did he find out?
Oh, because he went back to the
Was it that guy?
yeah, he went back to
okay.
the creator, right? Because
Creator.
he said, hey, I went back and I squeezed him,
Yeah.
and then now I know the
You
truth.
already know what that means.
Because there was a discrepancy in their stories, right? Because he told him, hey, the kid died in the mother's blood. But the Stillwell says, hey, he died during childbirth. So like he's like, hey, so like, did you die
Yeah,
after?
one was
or
a
before?
miscarriage,
It was
one
like-
was childbirth. So
exactly. It was like just a few things, and he's a smart guy. He's like, hey, something is not right. Like I can tell you guys are lying to me, and you've done it before. So like he gets to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. I like Homelander.
yeah, but now we're going back to like, is he really a bad guy? Right? It doesn't seem like it to me anymore because one, he saved Billy, right? I mean, he has.
He's still a bad guy.
He's conflicted. He's a conflicted,
He's
good
still a
guy.
bad guy. I mean, yeah. I
But
mean, I mean, why does it have to be so like in that way?
Try?
Yeah, why does it have to be like, hey, bad or
Good
good?
guy?
No, he can be a great
That's
character. He can
But
be like
again,
Darth
we
Vader.
gotta go back to the whole him like making these super villains out
Yeah.
here in freaking
Exactly. He is in that
uh,
way, just for his own gain, so he can like go and fight and like get more name and like be fight in the army and whatnot. So I mean, he's definitely a bad guy, but like
Right.
well, in a way, like is like we can understand, like you said, because first of all, he didn't grow up in a normal family. He grew up in a lab, right? He's experimented on, and like basically when that one thing with the blanket when they. They
Yeah.
just give him. That's all he knows from his childhood, and like even in the house they're showing is all fake. And then they put a real blanket. He's like, he gets mad because like, dude, this is real. You put everything else is fake, and then you put like this one real thing in here. Like, what
I'm
do you?
afraid it'll
Yeah.
trigger something, which
It does.
it will. It will trigger him.
So
to
he had a
some-
very sort of tortured childhood. So like, yeah, I'm not surprised he turned into a sociopath. Honestly,
Yeah. So any predictions for next season? What do you guys think is gonna happen for next season?
Oh man,
What will be the focus be now? Right?
I don't know, man. I like how you guys said. Is Billy and Homelander going to be like drinking buddies from now on? I don't know. They could go so many ways as far as like what happens with between the whole triangle between Billy, Homelander, and Billy's wife. And even the son brings in a whole dynamic. So any predictions? It's fair game for me. I'm not sure where they're gonna go.
well, I mean, the scary part is like Stillwell was the only person who was kind of keeping this guy under control, and now she's dead. He's got rid of his only weakness. I mean, maybe his son, but like he doesn't have that bond with him yet, right?
Yeah.
But like, who's gonna control this guy now? Like, what's to say he's not gonna just go and do whatever he wants to do? Like, is he even gonna be part of the Seven anymore? Like, who's
Probably
controlling him
not.
now?
I mean, I guess his motivation is now, being part of the government, and being government run. So, he probably wants to, at some point, be a general and then freaking commander in chief. Be the whole, the leader of the whole freaking world at some point. Because at some point we're gonna see him or the Seven battle out with these international supervillains. So maybe that's his whole end game, being like the super being of the whole world, and nobody can he can't answer to anybody. That was my whole point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I mean, don't forget the title is still The Boys, right? So the focus has to be on the boys and what is going to be their goal next time.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I guess
They're
they
all
could still.
outcasted, right? At this point, they're all on the hit list.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. They're
yeah.
all on the run.
They already
They're
had a tall order, and now
Mhm.
it's even a
it's even
taller
it's,
order.
it's even worse now.
Used
Like
to be mission difficult, now it's mission impossible.
it should be a
Right.
walk in the park for you.
So I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go with this, right? I mean, how is Billy gonna redirect his hate now? How are they gonna even be able to operate? I had hopes for them because it seems like they were already cooperating with the government, and they were gonna be, they were gonna get funding, they were gonna
Yep,
get
yep, yep.
everything they needed, and then that was all out the door.
Mm.
More wind out of their sails.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because now they're going to be dealing with supervillains, right? And they're not equipped to deal with the supervillains, and Homelander is, and the Seven is. So it looks like they're introducing a bunch of supervillains next year, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know. We'll see. So I'm
They do have
whatever it is.
Starlight
Mhm.
Annie, on their side. So we'll see how that plays into the whole. Maybe she might be able to get them out, or if they're caught or whatever, or I don't know. I mean, at least they have somebody as far as a superhero on their side.
Well, they
So
got Kamiko too.
oh yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's a free game like you said, and I'm excited for it.
I am very happy that it did get picked up for season 2. I don't know when
Yeah.
production is going to start, but
Yeah.
it there's definitely a big following as far as the series. So I'm happy that they're hopefully they'll do season 2, season 3, season 4 on this. I don't know how many comic book uh, comic books that they actually
Release for the boys.
released, but I I want them to keep going. So
Yeah, yeah.
all right.
All right. So for next season, my only probably request, if Amazon is listening, is that I wish they break up. I do like the format. It's like the Netflix format these days, right? You get everything out in one day, and you can binge watch the whole season, right? I really wish they'll go back to releasing episodes like every week instead, even for
Mhm.
Amazon from a digital format. So it
Yeah.
gives guys like us the
Similar to Game of
opportunity.
Thrones.
Yeah, because right now we're doing a review of the whole season, right? Because it just goes by so fast. Right? Yeah, similar to Game of Thrones and going to that format where it's like it'll be nice if they release one every week, and then
Yeah.
make everything available. So it gives the opportunity for guys like us to talk about each episode, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we missed, like
Oh
details
yeah.
Oh
that
yeah. Of
we talked
course. Yeah.
about. But it'll be nice, like one episode per week,
Yeah.
so that we get a chance to kind of talk about each episode, because there's like a lot of talking points per episode, and we kind of have to condense it now because it's all released at one time. We got to do the whole thing at once. But
And
Mhm.
plus
yeah,
the weight is a little bit less. You know, it's supposed to like now we finish like the whole season in what a week or a few
Yeah,
days,
it was a week
and
yeah,
ago.
then
right.
and then if you get every week, then it's 8 episodes. You say 8 weeks. That's like 2 months. So at least you waiting a little bit less for the next season
Yeah,
to
yeah.
start.
So bring back
Uh,
that format, Amazon.
yeah.
Break the mold of the Netflix format where everything releases in one
Be
day.
you. Be you, Amazon.
Yep.
And you know
Yeah.
what? In a good series, people will wait. Look at
Oh,
Game of
of
Thrones.
course, of
Look at
course. It'll be an
Sons of
event.
Anarchy.
Every episode. I think maybe once they do gain that sort of recognition, maybe they will. Because right now they're still sort of trying to build an audience. Um, so maybe, I mean, hopefully,
Hey,
it's a good idea.
have you guys ever seen any other Amazon originals besides this? I haven't.
No,
I
no.
haven't. I must admit, I
This is
have
their
not.
breakthrough
So
hit. Yeah.
this,
This is their
exactly,
breakthrough hit.
exactly. So you know what? Just
They
kind of
can
like how
dictate
it
how
is
it
with
goes.
exactly same thing with Netflix when they've had their breakout. I don't even know what show it was, but
House
they
of
can
Cards.
dictate.
Yeah.
They could dictate. How much content gets
Yep.
pushed out on weekly,
So
monthly.
Amazon, if you're listening, every once a week, release an episode. I mean, you know what? Alexa's already listening. I'm gonna tell Alexa. Alexa,
Talk
you
to
know?
Alexa for us. Talk to Alexa.
Yeah, Alexa's already listening to us. Alexa, release an episode of. Tell Amazon to release an episode of The Boys once a week, so we get to discuss every episode in detail.
So I looked up the boys the comic. It looks in number of issues 72.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
a
So,
lot of source
There's a
material.
lot of content. There's a
Good
lot of
content out there. All right. All right. At least a few seasons. So
Is it active though? Is it active comic?
actually I don't think so. I think the
They ended it.
yeah, it was only a few years, and then they ended it.
2006 to 2012. That was the last
6
public.
years.
6
Okay.
years. So 72 issues in 6 years. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Hey, but it might get picked up again. If kind of like George R.R. Martin. Like they request him to make more content. You just never know.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so that's it for the boys. If you have any questions or comments for us, why don't you leave it down in the comments section? And if you want us to review any other series, let us know. We're always looking at new series, new content, new movies, new TV shows. So let us know what you guys want us to watch, and we'll review it.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right,
Sounds
all.
good. All right.
Till the
take care.
next episode.
Later.